Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for checking it out if you're new. The month of June was a pretty busy one this month. A lot of movies, a lot of books, a lot of shows. A whole lot of everything, hence why this video's a little late. So jumping right into it, movies I watched this month. I kicked off this month with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you don't know, this is an animated film centered around Miles Morales and his journey to becoming Spider-Man as the multiverse and things like that start to fall in on him, and he's got to learn that whole, with great power comes great responsibility. This is probably one of my favorite movies ever. It's definitely the best Spider-Man film. Everybody has those debates. It's this one right here. Best Animated Feature 2019. And so yeah, if you have not, go give that one a watch. And I watched that one in anticipation for the sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is now currently in theaters. This sequel, set 1 year after the first film, picks up with Miles struggling with becoming Spider-Man and all the responsibility and everything's like I said previously. The animation is cranked up to an 11 here, and it sets a precedent for animated films going forward. I don't think I enjoyed this one as much as the first movie, but it was still really good, and definitely go watch it if you're at all interested. But definitely go see that first film first, rent it on digital, and then go see the second one. Some friends and I got together and watched last year's Top Gun Maverick, one of my favorite movies from last year. This is the sequel to the 1980s film Top Gun, in which we see Tom Cruise as Maverick, a much older Maverick, struggling with his age and having to train the new generation of pilots. In my opinion, this film probably does it the best of the nostalgic, kind of looking back 40-year later sequels. It's not too super long, it's just a few minutes over 2 hours, and I love this movie. It is now streaming on Paramount Plus if you have that, so go give it a watch if you're at all interested. Both films are actually streaming on Paramount Plus now. Over on Phil with 1L's channel, we watched The Poof Point, which is about this kid whose parents, while trying to invent time travel, end up reversing their age, and they're Benjamin Buttoning into non-existence, hence The Poof Point. It was a fun time. That video is up there. But yeah, so go check out that video on Phil's channel. Headed back to the movie theater, I went and saw Transformers Rise of the Beast. This is a sequel to 2018's Bumblebee, set in the new Transformers cinematic timeline, which thank God, because it was getting way too convoluted with the Michael Bay films. I liked this one. It was fine enough. Is it perfect? No. But it's definitely a fun, arguably one of the most fun Transformers films. And it has an absolute bonkers ending that you cannot predict. Just me, I tried. It is currently still in theaters and coming to digital on July 11th, so check that out when it gets there. So continuing the busy month of June, some friends and I then went and saw The Flash, which finally came out after how many years of production. I'm a little mixed on the film. Overall, I would say I like it. Is it a perfect movie? No. But I think it serves as a fun time, It's a good origin story, but not an origin story for the Flash, while also giving you the multiverse stuff with Michael Keaton's Batman and Sasha Calle's Supergirl. And I think the directing is fun in this one. I did a little review on that. That's up here. So yeah, go check out that video for some more of my in-depth spoiler thoughts on the movie if you've seen it. If not, it might still be in theaters. I'm not going to say that because I know it's on its way out because the movie is bombing. So it'll probably be on digital soon. Once again, over on Phil with 1L's channel, we watched Up, Up, and Away. This is another early Disney Channel original movie in which they explore a family of superheroes' suburban life and a young man coming into his powers. Or maybe not. Go watch that reaction. That one was another fun one. Video link up here. Continuing with the reactions. On this channel here, my friends Morgan, Sienna, and Natalie forced me to watch the Monster High movie. Video link up here. This movie is based off of the toy line from the mid-early 2000s. I can't remember exactly when. They were never my thing that I played with. I was a Batman and Transformers kid. These are a bunch of kids based off of classic Universal and other folktale monsters and creatures and myths and legends, and all of the hijinks they get into high school. This was another fun one. I had a really good time. I know nothing about Monster High, and so the girls tried their best to educate me, to which none of it stuck, as you'll see in the video. So yeah, looking forward to watching the second one whenever that comes out with those girls. Finally, the last movie I watched in theaters this month was Asteroid City from Wes Anderson. So Asteroid City is a typical Wes Anderson film. Not getting into too much spoiler, but it's kind of a story within a story. And the story they're telling within this movie is one in a town known as Asteroid City gets a bunch of different visitors, a bunch of different tourists, and all of the hijinks and relationships and exploration of how this isolation impacts them. I had a fun time. If you like Wes Anderson, you'll probably like this one. I don't know if I'd say it's his best, but I still liked it a lot, and I would say go check it out. It's coming to digital, I believe, this week, because, yeah, that's what we do now. Moving on into the TV shows. Now that Max has all of Rick and Morty, I finally watched the 6th season. You know, however late it's been. I used to keep up with the show, you know, back in high school, and since going to college, especially with how large the gaps are between each season now, I just kind of catch up whenever it's on streaming. I was kind of good with how serialized the show has become. You know, before it was kind of a episode of the week. There wasn't really an overarching narrative, but now it's become a little more serialized, which was an interesting choice. It's a quick binge on HBO Max. Well, now it's just Max, if you want to check it out. Superman and Lois Season 3 aired its final episodes this month. And they left the show on quite the cliffhanger. Thank goodness it got renewed. This truly is one of the best Superman stories. In these final episodes, they both wrapped up the season-long narrative as well as introducing a plotline for Season 4. And I think it all flows pretty well. It might be a little rushed, but overall, I like the way they ended this season, and I can't wait for Season 4. Season 3 of Superman and Lois will be streaming on Max on July 29th. Inspired by Rise of the Beast, I watched all 3 seasons of the War for Cybertron trilogy on Netflix. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think... This show is an anime, and it's done with 3D animation. I think it has its highs and lows. Overall, I think Season 1, with the subtitle Siege, is the best one. These are short. Each season is 6 20-minute episodes, so you can really watch the whole thing in like a day. I think Season 1 is probably the best one, then Season 2 is a bit of a slog, and then Season 3 is pretty interesting with the Beast War things that it incorporates, but overall, nothing to write home about. I would suggest other Transformers media, like the original series or Transformers Prime. Looking at the books I checked out this month, first and foremost, we have Adventures of Superman John Kent number 4. This is number 4 of 6 on a limited series. If you're unfamiliar with this storyline, this follows John Kent as he travels the multiverse and ends up in the Injustice universe. This story is interesting enough so far. I wouldn't say it's anything to write home about. So far, John is just kind of grappling with, like I said, he has landed on the Injustice universe, so now he's grappling with the idea of his evil father and maybe Batman is friend or foe. He's still not sure, working through those feelings. Like I said, this is 4 out of 6. We've got 2 left, and the story is ramping up, and I'm curious to see how it concludes. Batman, the Brave and the Bold, number 1. As the title implies, Batman, the Brave and the Bold is a collection of stories about Batman and the Brave and the Bold. So this is a collection of different anthology-like series. So in this one, there's a collection of stories about Batman, Superman, and other various lower-level superhero teams. The 2 primary stories that I took away from here were the Batman and Superman ones. In this one, we see Batman. This is a retelling by Tom King of the first time Batman and Joker met. The art in this one is kind of terrifying. I'll try to put some panels on the screen right now. And I'm just really curious to see where this one goes. The Superman story is a story in which Clark and Lois discover a secret society. I won't spoil who or what. But this first issue is kind of just introducing them finding that conspiracy, and so I'm really interested to continue it and see. That one is set in present day. Like I said, the Batman one is set in the past, Joker and Batman's first night. But the Superman one is set kind of during present day. Because of Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse getting me hyperfixated back on Miles Morales, I did revisit his debut in Ultimate Spider-Man. This is, again, Miles' origin story and how he gets bit and becomes Spider-Man. Yeah, I got this all the way back in 2012 when it was first published. But so yeah, I haven't read this since. And so then after the movies, I revisited it, and I was caught off guard with how much the movie does adapt and does keep, but also the things they change. It's also interesting because in the events of this book, you see some of the events that happen in Peter's Ultimate Spider-Man line, but you see them from a different point of view. Like, not really spoilers, it's a 11-year-old book at this point, but like Peter's funeral. In Ultimate Spider-Man, you follow Aunt May, but in here you follow Miles at the funeral. So like I said, this is a fun read. It actually made me want to go read the rest of the Bendis run, which I'm pretty sure you can now just get in a big old omnibus, and is probably cheaper than buying the individual volumes at this point in day and age. I continued my journey into 8 Billion Genies, reading issues 3 and 4. This is an 8-issue limited series, and the premise here is that what if everyone on Earth was given one wish? And each issue takes place a subsequent amount of time after the other. So like issue 1 is the first 8 minutes, issue 2, 8 hours, 8 days, and 3, 8 weeks, and 4. And so to see this progression of time and how the world is changing in these intervals is interesting, because you get a passage of time, but not too much. At least as of now. Like I said, as it gets higher and gets into months and years and decades, I'm sure we won't even see the characters that we're following right now. But I'm interested to see where this story goes. I really like it. I believe next month the contained paperback of all 8 issues comes out. Maybe I should have waited with how slow I'm reading these. But I wanted to read them now, and my local comic book shop had them discounted. So I picked up all 8. Fernando V Movies Comic Book Club. We read Batman 89. This is, like you can see on the cover, following Michael Keaton's Batman. This is essentially based off of the scrapped third Burton film that would have happened, which would have featured, if you can see on the back here, Billy D. Williams' Two-Face, Robin, and other characters. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't love this book. I think it does do some interesting things. I feel like now maybe I'm blinded by nostalgia. I love the Burton movies. I grew up with the Burton movies. Are they perfect? No. They're overall interesting, fun movies, but they're not perfect. You know, they don't really feature Batman as the main character in a Batman movie. And they're very loose adaptations of the source material. Burton really took his liberties with those characters, and the same happens here. And so, if you like those movies, I would say give it a read, but it's not anything I'll probably be revisiting anytime soon. Superman number 5 came out this month. This is continuing the ongoing Superman story where Superman now owns LexCorp, rebranded as Supercorp, while a mysterious enemy known as the Kryptonite Claw continues to grow and gain power throughout the city. As you can see on the cover in this issue, Clark takes on Silver Banshee, and there are some interesting plot twists in here. Additionally, this one ends on a cliffhanger and is kind of a book note for this arc or chapter in the story, and it has the note at the end that this cliffhanger won't be resolved until August because the entire month of July they're releasing Night Terrors, which is the new ongoing DC event throughout the month of July. I also picked up the DC Pride, and look at this variant cover. I just really liked it. I thought it was a cute one with all the Polaroids of everybody and their couples. Not really anything to write home about or anything, too impactful since it is a one-issue one-off. But it's cute. It's fun. There are some cute stories in here. I really like the Robin one with Tim Drake and him dealing with coming out and everything with Connor Hawke. I'm sure it's coming to DC Universe if you have that subscription, and I would check out, like I said, that Robin storyline if you're interested. Because it was on sale, I also, at my local comic book shop, picked up Stargirl and the Lost Children. This is a limited series of 6 issues that is now finished. I read the first 2 this month. So this follows Courtney, Stargirl, and Emiko Queen, the Red Arrow, as they try to investigate what happened to the missing heroes and sidekicks from the Golden Age, hence the Lost Children. With only reading the first 2 issues, I can't really give you answers to those questions, nor would I anyways, because spoilers. So far, I think it's an interesting premise. I'm curious how the story will resolve. I'm pretty sure it's on DC Universe and at your local comic book shop if you want. There will be a collected paperback coming soon. Lastly, when it comes to books, the last one is one I'm not actually currently reading. I'm listening to it. My local library uses the app called Hoopla, in which you get access to digital audiobooks and virtual ebooks. So I am currently listening to The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the prequel to The Hunger Games. This is not only because of the new movie coming out, but also because my friend Morgan M. Steele did a spoiler review on the book, link up here, and I want to watch her video, and I've been meaning to read the book, so now I can listen to it while I'm at work or doing things. I obviously haven't finished the book yet, since it is like a 17-hour audiobook. So far, I think it's interesting. I don't know if I'd say it grips me like those original Hunger Game books did. Like, I read those in middle school and had the whole trilogy done in like a week. So yeah, more to come with that probably in July when I've hopefully finished it. Especially because I have to return it by like July 10th. Looking at the video games I played this month, feeling nostalgic and that Spider-Man high, like I said earlier in the month from Spider-Verse, I replayed Ultimate Spider-Man for GameCube. I never owned this game as a kid. I always rented it from Family Video. And I remembered it being fun and enjoying it. And like I said, I wanted to go back and revisit it. I have played Insomniac Spider-Man and Miles Morales so many times that I wanted to explore some of the older Spider-Man games. I also plan to replay Shattered Dimensions and Web of Time. But so yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man ultimately ended up a little bit of a disappointment. I don't recall this game being so grindy. It is constantly, the story missions take about 20 minutes, and there's 15 story missions if I remember correctly. And in between every story mission, you have to complete a certain number of city events. These are things like in Marvel Spider-Man where you'd see robberies or runaway vehicles that you have to stop. But then there are also races and things like that. Or fighting tournaments in which you just fight wave after wave of enemies. And like I said, you have to do a set number of these after every mission, and eventually it gets old real quick. The story also just kind of ends. There's no resolution, which I guess is because they're trying to have it be as if it was like in the comics. And the comics never really end. I would have preferred a tighter conclusion to the storyline they introduced. The other game I played this month, you probably guessed it, was Season 5 of Overwatch 2. This season is themed after things like Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy, medieval setting with all the fun costumes. Personally, in my opinion, the Battle Pass is the best it's been this season, but that's also coming from a big old nerd who loves the fantasy costumes and everything like that. Gameplay-wise, it's more of the same. In attempting to remove the Widow and Hanzo meta, I think they made it worse than ever. Now you're just being headshot by Widow, who's closer. With the Junker Queen nerf, all of the tanks are pretty balanced, pretty so-so. Nobody's really too spectacular. We also didn't get a new hero or new map this season, and they kind of chalked that up too because we're getting some new modes. We're getting Prop Hunt next month in July, which I am excited for, but I don't think that justifies not giving the map and or hero like they said they were going to alternate with. And all the good stuff I was looking forward to is actually next season. Next season we get the new mode, Flashpoint, story mode, and a new hero. So next season will probably be bigger and better than ever. Well, we'll see. And so yeah, that's what I did for the most part, at least entertainment-wise, for the month of June. Let me know your thoughts on anything you watched, read, or played this month. Let me know if you watched, read, or played anything I played and your thoughts on it. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when the next one's coming. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.